this is where it'll find its resolution. You bless it, you wish it well. Something about really wishing something well and blessing it in this kind of interaction keeps it from sticking back on you. Mm-hmm. It's really, really important.
So specifically, like offering it back to the person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in your imagination,
yeah.
I don't suppose, you don't go home and go, Mom, I have some fear and rage, and I'd like you to take it back. And of course, if you're doing this with resentment, it doesn't work either.
I mean, I did it last night, but I think because it wasn't to a specific person, and it was just really sent to the kind of that mother line, but I feel that might have been...
Sometimes it doesn't belong to another person, right? It might be in yours, but then you can wish it its wellness anyway.
Yeah.
But if another person comes to mind, you can never be 100% sure if you've some sort of inherited somebody's emotional energy. It doesn't matter if you're certain about it. It matters if it works or not. I'm kind of practical when it comes to these matters. I absolutely know that people do inherent negative energy, seeks the vessel that it thinks will deal with it most easily, most clearly, and is willing to take it on. That's the biggest one. Negative energy will seek a willing vehicle, vessel. It will literally do this. You can watch it happen in interactions with people. I can feel it when somebody's energy will go from them to somebody else. Because somebody else, maybe they have a lot of empathy, and maybe they have a little bit of a savior complex. And so the energy goes, woo, savior, I'll go over there. Right? And all of a sudden, this person feels a lot better, right? But this person walks away feeling really a lot worse. Do you know what I mean? So and it's not as esoteric as it may sound. It's actually a very simple, practical. Like I've said many times before. I mean, most people, I'd say the majority of people that I meet, they've left home a long time ago, but they've never really got all of themselves out the door. They're carrying mom and dad with them. They may be 80 years old, but they really have never completely got all of themselves out the door. You know what I mean? They're carrying the energy, they're carrying the unfinished emotions of the family, they're carrying the resentment, and so part of them is still at home and really resenting that they're at home because they left decades ago. But, this is the way that this happens in these systems. We're so connected that if we're even a little bit unconscious, that energy will just kind of go. If you're conscious, you will have no investment in taking it on. You might feel it in other people. You can be sensitive so you can feel it. But if you have no investment in the positive or negative, then it has a hard time sort of becoming yours because you're not. Anyway, you get the idea. Sometimes it can really help if it seems to obviously belong to someone, if it seems like it. Again, you'll never be certain that it does, but if it seems like it, there's a good indication, and it can be very, very, very effective. Yeah, and you're kind of helping the energy. The blessing part is what helps it move on, right? Because we do not evolve and we do not resolve anything when someone wants to change us. Have you noticed? When you get that energy off of somebody, hi, I'm trying to help you and I want to change you. It's like, ugh. Get away from me. I want nothing to do with you. You're like, your compassion is toxic. And that's obvious, I think, to most people. But when it comes to, our own internal stuff, we can be taught to have a compassionate attitude towards it, which is a good thing. But we have to be careful that if you have a compassionate attitude, but you have the attitude that, yeah, I'm really trying to change you and get rid of you. That's why people can work on things for decades sometimes and nothing happens. Why can't I get rid of this? Well, because you want to get rid of it. That's why you can't get rid of it. Well, what do I do about that? Well, maybe you change the orientation where you want to free it. Free it. That's a different attitude, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You want to be involved in the freeing of something, yes, for your benefit, but also for its benefit. Then it's just like when somebody is willing to sit with you and help you work through something, but they don't have an investment in whether you get to some place or not. They're just interested in being there with you, right? That's a very transformative environment to be with somebody in. All of a sudden, a lot becomes possible. So all those same dynamics play out in our relationship with our own experience. Yeah.
So just to clarify with sometimes I go away and I forget everything you said, but
sometimes that's a good thing.
So if it arises again in that intensity, just ask for it to feel like 20%, 50%.
Yeah, to say
whatever.
I'm right now. I'm ready for this much.
Yeah,
really, and really mean it. Don't just be like, like really consider it. Okay, what am I really willing for right here and right now? And don't be overly courageous and tough. Just, okay, well, 25%. Let's try that, and then make a steer intention. It's like you look at the fear. Look at sweetheart. I'll give you 25. I'm here for 25%. That's about all I can do right now tonight. But I'm willing to show up the best I can for 25%. And so often, something will respond to that. It's like, okay.
And then would you feel to inquire or just to be with it and just experience it?
Both. Okay. This is where you have to kind of ride a kind of little intuitive edge. Yeah, because if you inquire before you're being with something, really legitimately, honestly, openly being with it, then the inquiry isn't authentic anyway. It's disconnected. You're not really in your experience. But you let yourself experience what's there. If it's fear, okay, 25% of it, I'll feel this fear. I'll let it move it. But I'll have an attitude. I might even, again, state my intention. I might even say, okay, if there's, what is this about? Is there anything about this feeling that wants to disclose something to me? Is there anything I need to see about it? Or what is the belief pattern of this energy? How does it view life? How does it view... Pick yourself. You see, but then the questions are kind of coming from an intuitive place. There isn't it's like a set list of questions you work yourself down. You just you get the principle, have the experience, be open to it, intimate with it, let the experience kind of move through you. And then you have an attitude of, gosh, if there's anything here that I need to know that will allow this energy to free itself, I'm willing to see that. I'm willing to know that, even if it's, frightening for me to see it or to know it, or it's not always frightening. Sometimes it's perfectly easy to see. And then the questions kind of come to you, what belief does this energy have? It's like, so how do you see the world? Is it safe? Is it not safe? Is it good? Is it not good? And if you're listening, you'll feel it. The energy will be like, hell no, life's not safe. It's not trustworthy. People are out to get me. You know what I mean? Da, da, da. And all of a sudden, this feeling that seems like it has no voice, all of a sudden gets a voice. When it has a voice, okay, now you're dealing with it on two different levels of being. You got the intellectual level, you got the conceptual level, and you've got the somatic level. That's great. Now you got 2 levels you can work with. Then you can see, like, yeah, if I saw the world that way, I'd be afraid too. Right? If I thought that everything and everybody in the world was untrustworthy and terrible at their origin, I would be afraid and contracted too. Geez, you poor thing. We might want to take a different look at that, right? Because so often what we see when we get both the conceptual and the somatic side of it, you see what's actually happening is your body is having an embodied experience of a belief. They're actually the same thing. On one side, it's an emotionally felt experience. On the other side, it's a belief. It's a way of viewing life. It's a whole list of conclusions, in other words, that has been formed. And then you see, oh, the conclusions and the experience are the same thing. They're no different. They're just, sure, anybody that had those conclusions would have this experience. But then you realize, okay, conclusions, beliefs are optional. Then you can start to open it up, right? Okay. Geez. Okay, where did you get this belief? Where did this come from? Right? Is this absolutely true? Because you're experiencing it to be true, but it's the question that's more important than the answers. The questions are meant to draw you in, and more intimate, and more intimate, and more intimate, If you get just a list of answers, the answers will separate you. You'll be a big smart person out here, but won't have any effect of what's going on here. They have to, mind and body have to meet, right? Thought and experience have to meet. And then you can, all that's really happening is I'm experiencing a conclusion. A physical conclusion and a mental conclusion. It's not really connected with everything else in the world. It's just a floating bubble of conclusion. An emotional, psychological, intellectual conclusion that's inhabiting my system. But seeing that it is only a list of conclusions, a host of beliefs that are turned into embodied experience, and seeing that it's not actually a representation of the world, it's not actually a representation of you or someone you know, it's just a conglomeration of conclusions that got formed around it. So I know I've given you a whole lot. It's a lot, and you're not going to remember most of it, right? But if you find yourself there, if you remember anything, intimacy with the experience, if you feel like it's wiser to take just a bit of it at a time, declare intent, and then as you feel it, you can be, at least in your attitude, open to it showing you anything that you may need to see. You may need to know. Now, sometimes just experiencing something is enough for it to come out of your system. Like grief. How do you get rid of grief? Well, you grieve. That's how. You don't have to solve anything. You just have to be willing to grieve. So some things are like that. Some fears are like that. And then other things really need you to get the piece of information that's hidden in the feeling. And so that's kind of the simplified version. And the simplified version is always the best version. The rest I was just talking and talking and talking so your body could get the feel of it. Because it's your body. I'm interested in what your body remembers in the middle of the night more than your mind. Because it's your body that's going to go, oh yeah, that awareness thing, I had a little feeling of that when I was at that microphone. Oh, and it felt a little bit like this. Oh yeah, okay. And inquiries like this kind of curious questioning. Oh yeah, I remember the feeling of that curious questioning. I can't remember the questions that he came up with. But I remember what it felt like when he was prattling endlessly on about questioning. Right? I remember how that feels in myself. So I'm often say, I'm really talking to people's bodies at least as much as their minds.
Yeah.
Their psyche that's way deep down in there, Because none of us has cornered the market on truth, right? I don't know the truth that you need to see to reach only you do, right? And all I can do is say, hey, here's some ways to access it. Access what's true for you. Because truth is not something that one can give to another. We each have to find its own unique expression inside of ourselves. And that's a beautiful thing, because if nobody can give it to you, it means nobody can take it away from you.